President Xi Jinping. He has tweeted, and I quote him now, called on President Xi this morning in Beijing along with my fellow SCO Foreign Ministers, conveyed the greetings of President Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Also apprised President Xi of the recent development of our bilateral ties. Value the guidance of our leaders in that regard, quote unquote. Remember, S. Jaishankar is in Beijing today. This is his first visit in 5 years, and he earlier met with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi as well. Let's get a perspective. Our executive editor Abhishek Kapoor is now joining us on the phone line. A very good morning, Abhishek. Very, very significant meeting there. S. Jaishankar meeting with the Chinese president. Yesterday, he had, conveyed very, very positive remarks and his thoughts on India's developing and India and China getting closer and the bilateral ties really improving over the years. How do you see this meeting now?
Well, see, all the meetings that are taking place in Beijing and because an attempt is being made to bring some momentum or build some momentum in India-China ties post the Kazan thaw, where Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping had met on the sidelines of the BRICS summit and then given instruction to the respective bureaucracies to sort of bring the India-China relationship back on track. The fact that just yesterday in the meeting between Jaishankar and Wang Yi, it has been decided that direct flights would be restarted. And remember, this is happening after a gap of 5 years post Galwan. Everything was put on a freeze. Is a marker of the intent to keep the relationship building up. But there have been irritants, and Foreign External Affairs Minister mentioned those during his conversations both with Wang Yi and then with the Vice President and hopefully with President Xi Jinping also. I don't know whether the Pakistan issue would come up, though of course the statement from both the sides said that the regional issues have been discussed. India perhaps might want to play it down, the manner in which the Chinese helped Pakistan real time during Operation Sindoor with the satellite imagery, if nothing else, and of course the weaponry that Pakistan always has from China. But apart from that, there have been irritants on trade front. Just last week, China withdrew about 300 of its engineers from the Foxconn facility in Chennai, which builds iPhones, and India's iPhone exports are almost matching the Chinese. So I think that's a restrictive trade practice as seen from India's side. That's been, I believe, mentioned in the conversation that have taken place. Similarly, China obstructing, delaying, putting on technical holds, raising some questions, and then not supplying crucial commodities like the phosphatic fertilizers, rare earths, among others. So all those issues have been on the table, and of course, the two big ones, the one on finally de-escalating from the border. Remember, the two sides pulled back, but complete de-escalation has not happened in Ladakh, and the forces continue to remain there, even if not in eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation. Now that this thaw has happened, ideally it should lead to de-escalation, and China has to, show commitment to that. And then, of course, the biggest one, the proof of the pudding would be in its eating. When the SCO Foreign Ministers meet, whether in the joint statement we are going to mention that Pahalgam terror attack was wrong and that it should be condemned. And I think that would be a clear marker of China's intent to take India-China relationship forward and bring it back on track.
Right. And Abhishek, what we are also witnessing is that, the External Affairs Minister has been highlighting the stable and constructive ties between India and China. He's been highlighting what is the good that is happening. And but at the same time, there are certain irritants, as you mentioned earlier. Apart from trade, of course, the issue of the Dalai Lama is also one of the irritants, and just a few days back when China had remarked about the succession of the Dalai Lama. Do you think that really that is an issue that can be overlooked as this meeting continues?
Well, you see, all the irritants come from the Chinese side. Now, if you look at first, let's see how things have normalized. So the troops have pulled back from eyeball-to-eyeball confrontation in Ladakh, and that's a normalization. There have been no clashes. That's a normalization. There have been no fresh attempts at changing status quo along the line of actual control. That's normalization. Trade has really picked up well. That's normalization. The Mansarovar, Kailash Mansarovar Yatra has begun after a gap of 5-6 years. That's normalization. Yesterday, the decision to start direct flights between India and China, that's normalization. So obviously, a lot of steps have been taken to really normalize the relationship, which had gone into a deep freeze post-Galwan. But irritants. Now, if you look at irritants, Dalai Lama has been in India for 6 decades and more. And if he's here, he will obviously have 90th birthday, just like he had 89th birthday and he would have 91st birthday. So for the Dalai Lama to mark his birthday and the kind of international personality he is, for anyone from India to attend, or even from somebody from the government of India to attend, as a mark of respect for the spiritual leader of the Tibetan Buddhism, the Chinese should understand that. Succession issue is something on which the Dalai Lama himself has made it clear what happens next, the process that has to be followed. So it's for China to see that how the world sees Dalai Lama, China sees differently, and that's their problem. Trade, the restrictive practices or obstructive practices are coming from the Chinese side. I mean, what more evidence does China need of India's intent that the overall trade is increasing, including Chinese imports continuing to adversely affect our balance of payments situation? So I think, again, as I said, more than words, the intent is reflected in actions, and that's where I think the Chinese need to act. And the first opportunity, of course, would be when the SCO meeting of foreign ministers makes a joint statement and Pahalgam terror attack is mentioned.
All right. Thank you so much, Abhishek, for those insights onto that big story, the External Affairs Minister meeting the Chinese president there. And viewers, let's move on right now because we have big breaking news coming in. Tesla